Ever feel like the world's just trying to mess with your head? Like everything's designed to make you doubt what you see and hear.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's exhausting.
Right. Like you're constantly being gaslighted. Well, today we're going deep on something that plays right into that.
Oh, this, I gotta hear.
We're talking about these things called gaslight guilds.
Gaslight guilds, okay.
Yeah. They're these self-appointed authorities, mostly online, who basically try to control what everyone thinks. You know, what information we trust and all that. So get ready. Influence decoders. We're about to break down how these groups work and what you can do about it.
You know what gets me? It's how these groups act like they're the only ones who know the truth.
Right. It's not just about checking facts anymore. It's like they want to control the whole story.
Exactly.
So for those just tuning in, can you explain what these gaslight guilds actually are? Why should we care?
Think of them like bodyguards. But instead of protecting people, they're protecting narratives. They're guarding the interests of, well, powerful people and groups, the government, big media, tech companies, that sort of thing.
Ah, yeah.
And one of their favorite weapons, fact-checking.
Oh, yeah, I see where you're going with this.
They use it to shut down anyone who disagrees and make sure only certain stories get attention.
Like that whole Hunter Biden laptop thing, right?
Exactly. Immediately labeled as Russian disinformation, even though at the time nobody had any proof.
It's wild how quickly they shut that down.
And it happened with the COVID lab leak theory, too. Ridiculed, called a conspiracy theory, anyone who questioned the official line, totally silenced.
Man, it's kind of scary how much power these groups have.
It really is.
So how do they even manage to do all this? Like, what are their tactics?
Well, one of their main tricks is what we call semantic theft. They basically steal words that have good meanings, like trust and safety, and use them as a way to manipulate people.
Ah, so it's like a shield.
Exactly. They say they're protecting truth and safety, but at the same time, they're twisting facts and silencing anyone who disagrees.
So they're using those good words to make themselves seem like the good guys.
Precisely. They want you to think that if you don't agree with them, you're somehow a threat, which of course makes people afraid to speak up.
It's like they're controlling the very language we use to talk about these things.
Exactly. They control the information and the words we use to talk about it. And that brings us to how they discredit anyone who disagrees. They love to use straw man arguments.
Meaning?
They basically twist what their opponents are saying, oversimplify it, take it out of context, make it seem ridiculous.
So they're not even addressing the real argument.
Nope. Just a distorted version of it makes their opponents look crazy.
Classic diversion tactic.
Totally. And then there's labeling, conspiracy theorist, disinformation agent, that kind of stuff. Anyone who questions the approved narrative gets slapped with one of those labels.
Yeah, it's like they create this culture of fear. You question them, you get labeled, nobody takes you seriously.
Exactly. They want to shut down critical thinking, keep everyone in line.
And this isn't just some online debate, right? It has real-world consequences.
Absolutely. Like during those farmer protests in India, they labeled those protest videos as fake news, used it as an excuse to block the internet, silence the protesters.
And the same thing happened during #EndSARS in Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
Content that was critical of the government got censored, labeled as misinformation.
Exactly. Silencing dissent. Huge problem, especially for important social and political movements.
It's crucial to understand these tactics, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to navigate this crazy information landscape.
Absolutely. We can't just believe everything we hear. We have to be more critical, more careful about the information we consume.
But knowing all this, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Is there even anything we can do to push back against these gaslight guilds?
There is. We don't have to let them control the story. We can fight back, reclaim our agency. I call it verification jujitsu.
Verification jujitsu. I like the sound of that.
It's about using their own tactics against them. Expose their manipulations. Take back control of the narrative.
All right, teach me some moves.
So the first move is, we call it fact-check autopsies.
Okay, what's that?
Think of it like, being a detective, you use this thing called the Wayback Machine. It's basically an internet archive.
Okay.
And you can use it to see how these fact checks have changed over time.
So you can see if they've been edited?
Exactly. And you'd be surprised how often they try to erase their mistakes. Like they're trying to memory hole any evidence that they were wrong.
Wow, so we can see how they've twisted the narrative. That's amazing.
It is. And that brings us to our second move. Demand conflict disclosures.
Ooh. Okay, tell me more.
Basically, we need to dig deeper into who's funding these fact-checking organizations. Follow the money, right?
Always follow the money.
Exactly. See if there are any corporations, governments, special interest groups. anyone who might have a reason to influence the results.
It's all about transparency, right? If they're claiming to be objective, they should be open about who's paying the bills.
Absolutely. And our third move, it's all about people power. Join a citizen audit network.
Okay, what is that?
These are groups of people dedicated to investigating these gaslight guilds.
So it's like a digital neighborhood watch. We're all looking out for each other.
Exactly. Strength in numbers, right? Together, we can expose their manipulations and hold them accountable.
I love that. So we've got our verification jujitsu moves, but are there any real-world examples of this working? Like, have people actually used these tactics to fight back?
Oh, absolutely. There's this great story from Kenya. One of our listeners, Priya, she used these tactics to challenge a fact check about some protest videos.
Oh, this is what I like to hear. Give me the details.
So this fact check claimed that these videos were old, like not related to what was currently happening. But Priya, she noticed something interesting. There were shadows in the videos, and she saw timestamps on those shadows.
Wait, what? Timestamps on shadows? How is that even possible?
Right, so she used this tool called SunCalc, which tracks the sun's position,
Okay.
and she was able to prove that those shadows matched the date and time of the actual protests.
Whoa, next level detective work.
Right, totally busted their lie.
So what happened?
They had to retract their fact check. They were wrong.
Amazing. It shows that one person can make a difference.
Exactly. It's inspiring, right? But all this talk about information manipulation, it makes you wonder if there's an even deeper level to this. Like, are there groups even more powerful than these gaslight guilds? Groups that are pulling the strings behind the scenes?
Oh, man. Now you're getting into some conspiracy theory stuff.
Well, maybe not. But there are these groups, they call themselves data druids.
Data druids. Okay, now we're getting spooky. Who are these guys?
Think of them as the architects of the digital world. They're the ones collecting all our data, analyzing it, using it.
For what?
Well, for profit, for one.
Yeah.
And for control.
Control. That sounds ominous.
They're like digital puppet masters, influencing our choices, shaping our perceptions.
So it's not just about targeted ads anymore.
It's way beyond that.
So what's the deal with these data druids then? How do you even get all this information about us? Are we just giving it to them?
A lot of times, yeah. Every time you sign up for a social media account, use a loyalty card, take an online quiz, you're leaving a trail of data.
It's scary how much we just hand over without thinking.
I know, right? We've traded our privacy for convenience and for personalized experiences, but we haven't really thought about the consequences.
So it's not just about knowing what we buy, it's
about everything, our habits, our fears, our desires.
and they're using all that.
They're selling it to companies, to organizations, anyone who wants to influence our behavior or exploit our vulnerabilities.
This is heavy stuff. Is there anything we can do to protect ourselves?
There is, but we have to be proactive. The first step is awareness. We need to understand how they operate, how they're using our information, how we can limit their influence.
Okay, so knowledge is power. But what are some practical things we can do to protect our data? Minimize the influence of these digital puppet masters.
Well, we can start by taking back our data. A lot of places actually have laws that give you the right to see what data companies have on you. You can even correct it or delete it.
Seriously. I thought once it's out there, it's out there.
Nope, not necessarily. You have the right to know what they have, why they have it, who they're sharing it with. If it's wrong or if they're using it in a way you didn't agree to, you can tell them to fix it or get rid of it.
Wow, I had no idea. Okay, so besides demanding our data back, what else can we do?
Think of your digital life like a garden.
A garden.
Yeah. You have to be careful what you plant, right? You have to cultivate it. So in your digital life, that means minimizing your footprint, being mindful of what you share online, who you share it with, which platforms you trust.
I like that, being conscious of the seeds we're planting. We want a healthy digital garden, not some overgrown mess.
Exactly. And just like in a garden, you need the right tools. Use a VPN that encrypts your internet traffic. Get an ad blocker, stops those creepy targeted ads. And switch to a privacy-focused browser, one that actually cares about your data. It's like building a fence around your garden, keeping the pests out.
So we're minimizing our footprint, we're building our defenses. But what about the people who feel like their personal trauma is already out there? Like it's already been used against them?
That's where it's so important to support the groups that are fighting for digital rights. Holding these data druids accountable.
Like who?
The Electronic Frontier Foundation, Privacy International, Access. Yet there are so many great organizations doing this work.
So it's not just about what we do as individuals, it's about supporting the people who are fighting these bigger battles.
Exactly.
So what can our listeners do to help?
Donate to these organizations if you can. Volunteer your time. Spread the word on social media. Even just contacting your elected officials to tell them you want stronger data privacy laws, that can make a huge difference.
It's about using our voices, right, to demand change, hold these powerful groups accountable. Well, this has been quite a journey. We started out feeling kind of gaslighted, manipulated. Then we learned about these gaslight guilds and then the data druids and how they're pulling the strings. But we also learned that we're not powerless. We have the tools to fight back.
It's all about going from awareness to action,
Mm.
understanding the problem, then finding the tools to do something about it.
And that's what we're all about here, empowering you, our fellow influence decoders, to be more informed, more critical, more resilient in this crazy world.
We want you to feel empowered, not overwhelmed. There's so much we can do individually and together. We can create a digital future that respects our privacy, our freedom, our humanity.
As always, we want to hear from you. What stuck with you from this episode? What are you doing to fight back against manipulation, to protect your data?
Share your thoughts, your stories in the comments. Let's learn from each other.
And if you like this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're here to help you navigate this world of information and influence.
Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay empowered.